Hey guys, sorry that my phone's moving around. I have a different stand. It clips onto a tabletop or a desk, but it's really flimsy in between when you knock it and hit it. But we are back with another video. Look, my wrap-ups and my TBRs are getting later and later into the month, and I apologize with those because I've moved. First off, March was crazy, or February was crazy because I knew I was moving at the beginning of March. So most of February, every day I came home from work, I was packing and throwing stuff away and selling stuff and packing and throwing stuff away and selling stuff. Not always in that order. And then I was still in class because I'm still going to school. I'm still in class now, but I was in a different set of classes, so I had to worry about getting homework submitted for classes so that I can pass classes. And then I switched jobs in the middle of February. Actually, Valentine's Day, I started at a new elementary school. So there was a lot going on. I did not read that much. Okay. So I got 4 books in, which was the amount that I was supposed to get in for the Blackathon Readathon, right? There was 1 book that I did change, and the 2 extra books I did not read, so I put them on my March TBR. Well, March is almost over, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get to those. But, you know, with the coronavirus putting everybody at home for, you know, weeks on end, possibly for the rest of the school year, not sure how it's going to work. So because of all of that, I may have more time to read, you know, when I'm not doing homework because I don't have to go to work. I mean, I have to work for the rest of this week, but spring break is next week. Do homework, and then I read, and then I watch movies, and then I wrestle with my kids, and then, you know, repeat, etc., etc. So let me get my iPad, because one of the books I have to show you that I read will be on my iPad. No, I do not own very many Apple products. Actually, I only own 2 tablets. One for me personally, and then one for my robots, because I have a Dash. Okay, anywho, you ain't even want to know about all that. Alright, so first book for the first prompt. I don't even have the prompts right here. Okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can get myself together here. Oh my goodness. Okay. I was like, hold on. Wait a minute. Found it. Well, found the page that I posted it on. Because I have my own Facebook group page. It's called Book Fun with an exclamation mark at the end of fun. Look a sister up. I post all my stuff on there when I'm not filming, because I may not always have the time to film, so I just post it on my Facebook. Okay, prompt 1. You good? Yeah. I'm just saying, because you was looking like. Yeah. All right, prompt 1 is, okay, I'm team contemporary. So, prompt 1 was Bessie Ikpe. Sorry for mispronouncing all the names. It says, a work exploring the intersection of mental health or disability in Black folks. So I read Queenie. And I messed up my cover, my dust jacket, something terrible, hauling it back and forth to work and packing. So yeah, that happened. So yes, I read Queenie. was a good book. It was okay. I think I gave Queenie on my Goodreads either a 3 or 4 stars. It was okay. I guess my biggest problem with Queenie was that she, even though she struggled with always doing the right thing, or like getting, like knowing what the right thing was and then doing the right thing, like, yes, everyone struggles with that, but I feel like she deliberately went against doing the right thing. Like, it wasn't, I don't know. I guess the way that it was written, it was almost like, oh, I know this is wrong, but let me just go ahead and beat myself up or get misused and all that stuff just because. I tried to hit your hand. See how you even messed it up right here. But no, I don't know. Because, I mean, I'm not saying that in a way that is judgmental, as if we all don't have things that we know are wrong and we do them anyway. Like, for me personally, I know that I shouldn't curse as much as I'm cursing. It is something that I'm working on, and it is a struggle for me because I'm used to doing it all the time. And I feel like that may be a good similarity to Queenie's situation, because she knows that she is worth more than what she's letting these guys do to her, that she is really a very smart, good, and intelligent person. And she could have, you know, deep relationships that with people that care about her. And I really feel like that maybe Tom, spoiler alert, but I do think that maybe Tom really did care about her, and he was trying to push her to open up to him and not try to keep everything to herself and go through the pain and everything alone. And he just got fed up with it. And that's the point where we're joining her. Like, he is fed up with him constantly trying and trying and trying, and he's tried for 3 years, and she still just wasn't letting him in. At some point, you know, better that he gives up on the relationship at the beginning, even though 3 years is so long time to be with someone, at the beginning, rather than her putting a ring on, or him putting a ring on her finger and then they getting married and then everything goes wrong. But I don't know. I feel like Queenie was worth a whole lot more, but it's very clear that she has insecurities that she struggles with depression and thinking more of herself. But it shows, what I thought was amazing about this book, was that it shows that she was making progress, that even though all these crazy things happened, she got to rock's bottom and she decided to do something about it instead of just sitting and not doing anything about it. But it was just so sad that it took her to get to the rock bottom that she got to. For some people, it takes like being hurt a few times and you're good and you are just gonna get back up there and you're gonna do something different. I felt like it took her until she had almost nothing to get where she needed to be to start growing and progressing to become a better version of herself. And she realized that she did not need a man to tell her what her worth is. At least she was getting there. It still showed at the end of this book that she struggled to get Tom out of her mind, because 3 years is a long time to be with someone. You can't just get over someone like that fast. It still shows the struggle, or the struggle that will happen for her to get over Tom. And I have much respect for that. But I don't know either if it's also the writing style. Like, it was a nice read. It was a quick read. But I don't know if it was just the writing style of the language being overly conversational, which is crazy because I like taking college classes where it's more of a conversational class than a lecture class. So I don't know. I can't pinpoint, I guess is what I mean, what it is about this book that made me not give it a 5 star. I'm pretty sure my Goodreads showed that I gave it a 3, or it could have been a 4, because I did like it. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite, but I did like it. And it is a book that I would probably read again. I just really don't like how she abused herself in this book with the mentalist. Like I understand why, and I understand the mental and physical abuse that she went through as a child. Actually, I don't think it was any physical. I think it was just the mental. I think she had a lot of mental abuse that she went through. And then watching her mom go through mental and physical abuse, it really messed her up. And I guess maybe that's what didn't give it a 5 star to me, is because I was so frustrated with all of the mental abuse that she went through. It was hard for me to be like, okay, I like this book. But I do, or okay, I love this book was what was hard. But I do love the fact that she did not just lay down. Her grandpa even gave her the compliment when she was getting her things out of the shed to move into an apartment on her own. It was kind of like her moving back out on her own. But her grandpa even was like, well, I thought you were going to be like your mom and just give up and then wait to what he felt like was too long to get herself back together. Her mom even made progress. Her mom was getting herself back together. Her mom was just also beating herself up because she kind of destroyed a relationship with Queenie in the midst of everything they were going through with the mom's boyfriend, Roy. But I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with this book. I will read this book again. I would read it again if I had the option to, and I probably will read it again. But this book did not give me a 5 star, like, oh my goodness, I just absolutely love this book, because I am still so mad at this book and everything that takes place in this book. But it was a very, very good, very realistic read of what people go through mentally with childhood trauma, and how some people do not get over that trauma until they're an adult and their life goes haywire. And then some people just never get over that trauma, and then they turn to drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. So there's a lot of, this book, it takes you through it. So yes, I would recommend that a read. Second prompt was Marlon James, a work that isn't set in the United States and does not center the Black American narrative. So I believe that this was the book I chose for number 2. It is not set in the United States. It is not a Black author, but it is a Black protagonist, and interviews were done with the main character of this book to give the author permission to write this book. So I thought it was a really cool read. So this is a middle grade book, and I chose it because I had been wanting to read it for a while and I had never read it, and the cover just looked so interesting to me, and I just finally decided I wanted to read it. So it is not centered in the United States. It is centered in Africa, and it takes place majority in Ethiopia and Kenya. And it's about, a boy who gets caught up in a situation where, I forget it's not a militia. I don't think it's a militia. I can't remember, but a bunch of bad people with guns. They come through, they shoot down, they just ruin the villages and make a lot of people homeless and without water, without just without families, without food, without shelter, without and it talks about his journey to, I believe it was his journey to Kenya, what was then Kenya, from Ethiopia to salvation, if you will. It's the camps. I can't remember the name of the camps, but they try to find their way to camps that provide shelter, food, and a group of people that share their struggles, that they can become family with each other. And some of these people end up finding family. He found his uncle along the way to the camp in Kenya, and then his uncle, unfortunately, they met up with some more of these very mean people with the guns, and his uncle was killed. And then he, with the group that him and his uncle were traveling with, then, kept going, kept pushing, and found the refugee camp. So they found refuge in the camp, and then he was there for some years. I think it was 6 years, maybe even longer, which was not the intention to stay there that long. So this whole video is just a spoiler alert, just, everything I read. So then something happened with the government to where they shut down the refugee camps, and instead of just letting people leave, they literally shut it down that day and run people out into the crocodile infested water, where they either were eaten by crocodiles or shot up by the people who were running them out. So then he winds up back in Ethiopia, and went to another camp where there were volunteers taking care of the refugee people, and he got an opportunity to go to America. And the family, and then he was adopted or taken in by a family, and the family that he was taking care of gave him notice that his dad was actually still alive, I believe it was. And then he found a way back to, they paid for his way back to Ethiopia, I believe. And get down. And he was there with his father for a little while. Then he stayed there for a little while, and I think he came back. So his whole time in America, he was there to get an education, because he really sought out getting an education while he was at the refugee camp. And that's what got the volunteer there to send him to America, so he can further his education, so he can help his people. So then the other part to this story, because it's like two overlapping stories, when you get to the end of both of the overlapping stories, you find out that the little boy in here is also the grown man that's in here that goes back to his country and digs up a clean water well so that this village can have clean water. It's a really, really, really good book. It does not center around the struggles that we have as Black people in America. It just has different struggles of Black people in Africa. So I figured that this would be able to take the place of number 2, because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't American struggle, and it's not set in America. So that was my number 2. If you think that did not qualify for number 2, you can leave it down in the comments and tell me what you would have read instead for number 2. Number 3. So it says Alexia Martin, a lighthearted work that doesn't center the struggle and features powerful romantic or platonic bonds. Okay. I was trying to figure out how to get the wedding date, because that was my number 3. Could not figure out how to get it until, I think it was like March 3rd. I checked it out from the library, and February had already gone, so it did not count. So instead of that, I end up reading Binti by Nadi Okorafor. I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, and I apologize to the author. But Binti was not lighthearted at all. And it dealt with a struggle, but it wasn't like, I don't know, the regular American struggle that I wouldn't say regular, that sounds so dumb. It does not center around the American struggle that we see in the news, or that we experience in our life, as far as what did the thing say? It does not center around poverty or drug use. There is a bit of a racism in it because it's like people not used to the darker skin. And it doesn't make it seem like it's white or black. It seems like it's black and black, and the lighter black people are having trouble with the darker skinned black people. I'm not sure, but there's also aliens involved in this, so it's almost like too that the aliens don't like the humans and the humans don't like the aliens. So it's kind of like a racism in that way. So this is the cover, and there's no romance in this first Binti issue that I read because we're talking about aliens and one girl's like struggle to not be killed, pretty much how to stay alive, and she ends up staying alive. So here's the cover. There you go. And this is a newer cover because the very first time I heard about Binti, this was not the cover. This is a newer, updated cover. But Binti was the first of her kind from her village to go to a place where she can get a good education. But her tribe that she's a part of, no one's ever left where they were. It's just like part of their heritage now. Nobody leaves. So she ran away in the middle of the night because she was accepted into this university where she really wanted to go and further her education. She's also, her power, she finds out later in the thing that kept her alive is because she could understand the aliens, and I guess like normal people can't understand the aliens, which were called Medusas. But I think she's able to understand them because she later finds out that she's a mediator, I believe it is. I think it's mediator. Da, 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 da. I don't actually, it does not say in here, but anyway, but she's like a Medusa whisperer where she can understand them, kind of like a ghost whisperer. But she can understand them, they can understand her. And I don't know, I thought it was super awesome. But it does not take place on Earth. It takes place in a space shuttle because they live in a space shuttle, and then there's like planes that fly from the space shuttle to Earth, I believe, to a university. I can't remember how it goes because also while I was listening to this, I was also packing and doing laundry. So I got the majority of it. I can't remember where exactly it takes place. But I don't know. I thought it was really cool. There was lighthearted moments in it where she bonded with other people from different villages and cultures that she was told that didn't like hers, that they weren't supposed to be, friends or involved with each other. And then it turned out to be like pretty awesome and dope, and they all bonded, and it was cool. And then when the Medusas came aboard and they killed everyone on the ship for her, she is left with this heartbreak that she has to figure out later how to live with. But as of right now, she kind of tries to stuff it in, but it comes out here and there, but then she stuffs it back in so that way she can, stay alive. Really, really good book. And I won't give away the ending, so I'm not going to say anything about that. And I'm just going to move on to the last book I read. And the fourth one is Akiwaki Imenzi. Sorry. A work where a Black protagonist challenges preconceived notions of Blackness, a Black revolutionary character. Not sure if this book fit the category, but I read The Skin I'm In. I feel like the protagonist, I feel like there were two protagonists in this book. I felt like the main one was Makila, which is this beautiful Black queen right here. Makila Madison. And then the teacher, Miss Saunders, was the second protagonist. I felt like This was a really good read. I believe I gave this a 5 stars, maybe a 4 stars. I did not like the way it ended. The ending was left too open to where it was like, you know, what came of everyone else? Was she, did Makila have it good for a little while and then get bullied again? Did everything just fall into place and people realize that Makila is not the one to be playing with? Like what, the ending was just too open. I did not like that. But I did like that in this book, Makila, against all odds that she felt was stacked against her from a rough upbringing with, or from a rough upbringing from the point that her father died until the what you read in the book, she overcomes and she finds her voice. She doesn't just sit there anymore and take it. Like, you see her slowly finding her voice in some things, but then an incident happens in this book where she is like, I've had enough. You will not keep doing this to me. This is my voice. Listen to it. This is me. This is my face. See me. Hear me. And then it seems like things got better and she wasn't punished for the incident that happened, which, I mean, in some cases, she still should have been punished for what she did in here. But the neighborhood in the book where everything has taken place, it's very understandable why she didn't receive any further consequences. And it was like an act of great mercy and grace from her instructor. But I feel like she's a revolutionary character because she's in middle school, and, or is it high school? It might be high school. But anyway, the things that she's going through, and maybe it is middle school, but the things that she's going through in this book, like, no child should go through, and some children would have just given up. There are kids at a young age that give up and commit suicide just as if they were adults that have been through a whole bunch. I mean, kids go through a lot too at small ages, but very revolutionary, very awesome. I loved it. So that is my February wrap up. Though that is what I thought of my books. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of these books, what you thought of them, what you thought of my TBR. Did I follow the rules? I don't know. I think I did. I spent a lot of time researching what books I was going to do for which ones. I don't know. But that is my TBR. And I hope you all had a great Black-a-thon readathon. So until next time, bye.